Hi, listeners. Welcome to the She Speaks Life podcast, a weekly encouragement where we share our God stories. I'm your host, Jayme Elizabeth, and I am so glad you are spending time with us today to listen. Hi, listeners. Welcome to episode 2 of 3 episodes that establishes this podcast. This week's encouragement is what I like to call standing out like a salty wave. As I was on the beaches of Florida this summer with my family swimming in the ocean, I couldn't help but taste the salt when I would dunk under or splash over the large waves. I became so used to the fresh waters of the lakes near my home that the salt significantly stood out to me as it hit my face. And then it occurred to me, this is what Jesus was speaking about when he says, we are the salt of the earth. Like the salt in the waves, we are made to stand out, to be set apart, and to be noticed that there is something different about us. That difference is the seasoning of Jesus Christ to be sprinkled on those around us and to bring them to know their Creator. Salt signifies many meanings in the Bible. And one of them is when Jesus said, we are the salt of the earth. Looking at Matthew 5:13, Jesus says, you are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it lost its flavor? Do you make it salty again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. What Jesus is saying is that we are to stand out from the crowd. If salt lost its flavor, it would just blend in and not be significant. Salt carries significance, and to be the salt of the earth, we should stand out with character, Jesus' character. The Bible teaches us all about how we can be salt that won't lose flavor, and one of them is taken from this verse. In Colossians 4:6, it says, let your conversations be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. That flavorful seasoning is sprinkles of grace in our conversations with others. I like to look at grace as love in action. Just like chips are better with salt, or like my favorite, salt on my avocado, salt is always better when we mix it with something. And when Jesus said to be the salt, we are to show others to taste and see that the Lord is good. We blend with the flavor of God's loving goodness, ready to make an impact with our actions and words. It is as simple as telling a mom at the grocery store that they are doing a great job while they are expressing how exhausted they are, or making conversation with a grocery clerk and going beyond the usual, "Hi, how are you?" Or making intentional time with friends and expressing to them the things in your everyday where you saw God show up. Listen, I have had God show up while I was folding laundry or even scrubbing toilets. You don't have to be in a women's conference or in a church service to have God reveal himself to you on an answer maybe that you've been waiting for or whatever he wants to show you. It really is just keeping all of your heart open to hear from the Holy Spirit as to what it is he wants to tell you. And out of that obedience, our salt becomes more flavorful in us and for others to see as well. It's essential that we know we are a voice for God, who called us worthy to stand out, bringing God's flavor to this decaying world. No matter where you are listening to this podcast, someone needs to hear your voice of influence. It does not matter how big or how small you think your impact has on this world. You might guess, who am I to make an impact? I'm not some Christian author or speaker or blogger. I'm an everyday housewife, a mom, or a businesswoman. Or you may think you don't have some dramatic thing to say, to share. You know why your voice matters? Because it matters to God, and he does not measure the size of your value. You are already valuable in his eyes. He cares for the one. He cares for the everyday people doing life, no matter if they are well known or not. Big or small, in your eyes, God sees the obedience that comes with your story to share with others. So whoever you are, wherever you are, sharing will increase somebody's faith. Now, salt, as you may know, is a preservative, and it purifies. We are called as believers in Jesus to preserve the world by being a witness for Him and make our words pure with meaning and worthiness for one another. It is sharing what God has done in our life as it brings a tasty seasoning so others will know that God's grace has chosen us. We belong and we are precious to Him and will always be. The thing is, everything needs salt. It pretty much is a necessity of life. I once had a beautiful cat, and it would lick the stone that framed the fireplace, and I couldn't understand why until somebody told me that the cat was licking salt right off the rock. Even cats crave the salt. Whether we know it or not, we crave God's Spirit. There is a sincere desire created in each one of us to know more of Him and bring what we see and what He has done in our lives to others. When we do this, we become radiant and flavorful, bringing others to want more of God. I hope this brought some encouragement for your week, and I thank you for joining me on this podcast. Thank you so much for listening today. I trust that God has encouraged you through this message. For more information on this ministry and to access free downloads, please visit my website at jaymeelizabeth.com and sign up. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Jayme Elizabeth She Speaks Life. That's Jayme Elizabeth She Speaks Life. Until next time, my friends, I pray God reveals Himself through your own life story.